You need a dessert, you want it to be low carb, and you need it unique too. Well, I've got the perfect thing. These are keto strawberry cheesecake bars. They're perfect for your next potluck, so let's see how we make them. Start with the crust. This is going to be a shortbread keto crust. We're going to have some almond flour. This is 1.5 cups of almond flour, some melted butter, 1/4 cup of swerve, but you can use any sweetener that you want, and 1/2 cup of coconut flakes, although don't worry, it will not taste like coconut. It's just there for crunch factor, and then a little bit of salt. We're going to mix everything together, press it down into a pan, and bake it at 325 degrees for 12 minutes. Starting with the ingredients for a shortbread crust, we're going to add the almond flour, the sweetener, coconut flakes, some melted butter, and some salt. And we're going to mix this together until it's combined. And don't be afraid of the coconut flakes. Like I said, they're just there for some crunch, but you can certainly omit them if you're not a big fan of coconut, but really they hardly add any flavor to there. Next up, we're just gonna press this down into our dish. And a little tip for you, I like to just wet a piece of parchment paper and get it damp, just like this, and lay it down into my dish. This will make it so that it's easier to press my crust into, and then the side flaps make it easy to pull the crust out when it's done baking. And we're gonna bake this in a 325 degree oven for 10 to 12 minutes, and then pull it out and let it cool completely. To make the filling, we're gonna start with some strawberries, but you can use any kind of berry you want in this recipe. You could use raspberries, blackberries, even blueberries if you wanted. We're gonna be using some eggs. We have 2 packages of cream cheese here, and then 2 different types of sweeteners. I always like to use 2 different types of sweeteners in my keto dessert recipes just because I feel like it tastes a lot better than just using one or the other. The filling starts out by making a strawberry syrup. So we're gonna add 2 cups of these strawberries to a saucepan and cook them over medium heat with about 1/4 cup of swerve. Stir it until it's combined, and you're gonna let it cook for about 4 to 8 minutes until the mixture is bubbly and all the strawberries have released their juices. Next, we're gonna add our strawberries to a food processor, and you're gonna pulse it until the strawberries form a puree. And if you don't own a food processor, you can certainly use a blender here, and if you don't have either of those, well then you're just gonna have chunky cheesecake. Next, we're gonna pour out that strawberry puree into a separate bowl and set it aside because we're gonna come back to it later. But moving back to our food processor, we're actually gonna mix the rest of the filling ingredients right in here, so don't even bother cleaning it. We're gonna add our cream cheese and then our sweetener, and then pulse this together until it's combined. And once that's mixed up, we're gonna add our eggs. 1 at a time, 3 eggs are going in here. This is a cheesecake recipe that you bake, so those eggs are key to making a real thick and fluffy cheesecake. So after you've added your eggs, we're gonna put our food presser lid back on and blend that up until they're combined. After that, we're gonna open it up again and just sneak a little bit of vanilla in there, just about a splash, which is, in my case, it's a teaspoon of vanilla. And then pulse that together as well. Coming back to our strawberry puree, we're gonna pour in that cream cheese mixture and just stir it together until it's fully uniformed and combined. And feel free to lick that spoon because this stuff is magical. And like I mentioned before, don't forget to take your crust out after around 10 to 12 minutes and let it cool. And once the crust is cooled, it's time to pour in that strawberry cheesecake mixture. Just to kind of fill it up until the top, and then we're gonna bake this in a 350 degree oven for about 40 minutes. Now for the third and final layer to our cheesecake, this is just going to be a homemade whipped cream topping. So we're going to add 1 cup of heavy cream to a bowl along with some confectioner's swerve or just confectioner's erythritol, and we're going to beat that together until it forms some soft peaks. And next I'm just gonna add a little splash of vanilla just for some flavor and continue to mix it up until we get stiff peaks. Like I mentioned before, we're baking this cheesecake for about 40 minutes, and the center should actually be a little jiggly if you were to shake it, so it's completely normal. It will continue to set up as it cools, but you want to let it cool completely before you add that whipped topping, or else your topping is going to melt. Now to add in our topping, we're just gonna lift out our cheesecake. As you can see, these are nice nifty little handles that parchment paper created. And I'm gonna just peel the sides down just so I can have a little room to work with. Now for our whipped topping, you just spread that on. Just a nice thick layer. The more the better, trust me. And this is optional, but you could add some sliced strawberries on top just for decoration to make it look pretty, because I mean, you're probably serving this at a potluck or for a gathering, so you want it to look appealing. And to serve this, just slice it up into bite-sized squares. I'm going to have the full recipe listed down below in the description box, as well as the link to my website where you can find full explanation too. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and let me know down in the comments if you like cheesecake or what your favorite dessert is, because maybe I'll make it next.